Hey everyone, this is Rants, Wellness, and Melanin. I am your host, Nubia Royal, aka Black Girl Luxury, and I would like to introduce my co-host, Robert Sin. You guys already met him in our last episode for episode 1. Now we're doing episode 2 for season 2, and we are so excited. I'm so excited to bring him to the Rants, Wellness, and Melanin podcast brand. We're going to have so much fun. I feel like we are definitely bringing quality to the team. I'm definitely just excited to see what he brings.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So what do you have to say to our following?
I mean,
how do you feel?
I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be good.
A good season. And I feel like you just have something to bring. I just feel like it's just a great thing, especially in the name of like wellness. So I just feel like this is such a great idea for us to do together. And I'm happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you being on the team. I appreciate it. And I feel like this is a great decision. So that's that. So yay. Now I definitely want to introduce our next guest, Shae of GoldInnerG.
Yes.
And go ahead and introduce what GoldInnerG is and who you are.
Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you for having me, you and Rob. My name is Shae, formerly known as with my services GoldInnerG. And so what GoldInnerG entails is just me, myself, conducting sound healing and massage therapy and wellness for the people of the community. And what that involves is just kind of using some of these tools, such as the sound healing Himalayan bowls, to use this for healing frequencies in the body. I am also a massage therapist, so I specialize in shiatsu massage, trigger point massage, and just energetic working with the subtle body. And so I'm just happy to be here to kind of share my knowledge and services and kind of, just give the community of the local South and North area an idea of different healing modalities and what there is to offer and what I offer for the people. So I'm glad to be here. Rob, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me as well. And yeah, let's just...
We are excited to have you. Just bring us a little bit into your world and let us know, like, what is sound healing and what are the benefits?
So sound healing is a way to relieve stress within the body, and not just the stress that we're feeling. We have our cells that are the subtle body, and so the frequencies that come from the sound allow for the cells to be repaired without you doing anything. And so the idea of this is for a person to relax and allow for themselves to just breathe and receive the sounds and the tunes. Because, we don't always have the words to want to talk and kind of get out the stress of what's bothering us.
Absolutely.
And so with using the sounds and the different voices and the instruments, we allow ourselves to just kind of not say anything, right? And we allow these frequencies to come in and to heal us. Yeah. And the more you do it, the more...
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
so do you feel like that was like a moment of enlightenment?
Yes. I would say a moment of self-enlightenment.
Self-enlightenment.
Yes, because it was just me doing it with myself. There was no one really kind of telling me what to do.
Right.
But here I am. I did just like a really deep intentional breath. And when I, exhaled, I felt like tingling and different things coming through. Not just like my breathing, it went from my whole entire body. So I was like,
okay.
Bing! So I guess that would definitely be an enlightening moment where I was just like, okay, hold on. That was different. And the more I started to do it, I started to research and do these different things. And then, you know how the universe works. Once you start to research, it kind of sends people your way that kind of already know a little bit about what it. And so that happened to me within the Air Force.
Can you kind of walk us through like what a session would be like as far as healing using the tuning forks or the crystal? I see you got a crystal in your hand.
It's one of the fragile crystals, but right now we're in the moon phase. And selenite is very prone to the moon, so it helps with manifestation and calming. And so here, this is one of my first podcasts, by the way. Okay. And so I'm so delighted, excited, and nervous at the same time.
So we're honored to have you.
Thank you so much.
Your first podcast experience. So we popped your podcast cherry.
Yes. Yes. And so as far as sound, back to what you were asking, what it would look like as far as someone coming in who's never experienced sound before, and they're just like, hey, I do know that I'm stressed, and I heard that sound is helping. And so what does that do? And so for me, I would just, literally bring them into a session. And this here is a Himalayan sound bowl. Most people know it as a Tibetan sound bowl, but it is made of bronze or brass. And so I'll just kind of do like a demo while I'm talking for you guys. Part of what this does, you can actually put it on your body, you can hold it. And so it is a bowl that is comprised of brass, metal, and the way that they kind of make this shape, it creates a specific tone. And so this one is the lunar moon, I believe. Yes, this is like the lunar moon, so we're in the moon phase. I didn't even know that I brought the moon one, but everything is resonating, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so I would have a person pretty much lay down, or they can sit up, whatever is most comfortable for that person, because, you know, it's their first session. They want to make sure that they're feeling good. And what this bowl does is it brings out a sound of resonation for the person to go, and the more you just relax, these tones and sounds would go into the body and allow for a healing to take place. And so some of the sessions, they go from 7 minutes to an hour. So
sidebar.
Yes.
So what, other than like, okay, I want to relax, because I'm thinking about it like a spa, right? Because I know I like to go to the spa. Just to relax. So other than just for self-care purposes, what's particular reason would a person want to do essentially a sound healing session?
So I guess relaxation, but also when we talk about healing and self-care, this is one of the things in the Black community that I feel like is not really brought about. And
that was going to be my next question. Go ahead, because go ahead.
Yeah, so with sound healing, relaxation, yes, but ultimately it is healing the body. And so what we kind of don't talk about is our healing with our body outside of ourselves. We like to do things that are, I would say, satisfying to our minds, right? To us. So like food, right? I want something that tastes good versus I want something that's going to actually heal the body. And so sound itself is one of those modalities that would heal the body. So whether you're actually intentioning to or have intentions to enjoy it or not, this is something that's going to work for your body. And so we have cortisol, we have these different hormones that are pumping through our bodies. And so what the sound goes in and does is regulates those. And so certain pitches that will actually allow your cells to go back to homeostasis. And and homeostasis. And homeostasis is pretty much allowing for your body to be, let's just say, if you're high stress, and then there's a high stress state, and then there's a middle ground, and then you have the below stress, almost kind of in the depression.
Okay.
And so homeostasis would be finding common ground between that high stress and that depression.
So the balance.
Okay. Right. And so homeostasis is the balance within your actual body. And so finding that homeostasis, the sound, because we as human beings, and the experiences that we have in life, it's really hard sometimes to try to navigate ourselves to, you know, okay, I just need to chill out. And so we bring in these different modalities, sounds, instruments, voice, and different tools to allow our bodies to heal themselves.
So what do you think is the biggest misconception in the urban community when someone sees someone like you, and what would you like to clarify on camera?
The number one thing that I hear, oh my gosh, she's a hippie now, right? So I came from Southbridge, I came from the South, so people knew me as like this party person, or like going out and, you know, with the sports team. Also kind of like, you know, just doing different things. At that point, I felt myself in full discovery mode of like, okay, I thought I knew who I was, but I don't really know who I was, right?
Discovery.
And to my knowledge, I know, like, okay, you're a hippie, this is peace.
Okay, hold on, wait, because you talk about hippie. All right. So now, because that's going to be my question. Like, all right, so do you feel like you're a black sheep, or you feel like you're a black hippie? Because I mean,
so definitely black sheep.
Okay.
So for me, hippie, I think it belongs, or not really belongs, but it resonates. It goes along more with like back then, the 70s and 80s time frame, because they didn't really have a name for it. And so even still now, as we're evolving into spirituality more, people are, you know, wanting to kind of know, okay, I want to know how to eat better and let me drink more water. What we do know is what it looks like, you know, crystals or being at peace is hippie. And so that's the first thing people kind of identify themselves. Right. Someone just starting, right, to identify me, I'm okay with them saying, okay, yeah, you're a hippie. But like for you, right, when we first met, it was like, you know, hey, what are you into? I didn't, you know, say I'm a hippie, But I definitely would call myself the black sheep because I am one of the first in my community,
To
definitely in my family, to like step outside of what we know, right? And
Okay.
to kind of say, okay, you know what, I want to see what they're talking about.
Right. So what would you like to clear up?
And so clearing up, I would say that definitely this belongs to us. It is not something that is that stems from other places. Knowing yourself and knowing how to communicate with yourself and knowing like what your body is and what it does is the number one thing, not just for black people, but I think all people should get into. But I think it's very profound for black people to know because we are the number one communities that were taken away from just knowledge of self. These teaching things, just these different sounds, right? Because we look at it and we're just like, oh, okay, that's, you know, it's a bell, or that's like the Asian people thing, but it doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to everyone. These sounds are in tune with the human being, right? And so do not be afraid to kind of research and find out what the different tones are, because these different things, yeah, we may not like it at first. That's because we're not used to it. But when we learn the knowledge of what it does and actually with more consistency, how it feels to the body, now you want to kind of resonate and connect yourself to it, because yes, this is something that we all need, and especially in the black community.
I mean, I guess for me, like I know when I get stressed out sometimes, you know, I sit up there and probably put on some music or whatever to help me deal with my stress.
Right.
Or I get some comfort foods. I eat like some fried chicken or some macaroni and cheese like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the soul food, right?
The soul food. So I hear you talking about the types of food that should help with the body and everything else.
Yes.
So would you consider hip hop or your favorite song, would that be some type of sound healing, or that's something completely different?
Yes, you can play your songs, but you have to be careful of what you're actually listening to and the sounds that goes into it, because, you know, what if your favorite song is not necessarily the best thing to do, and now you're programming yourself to go out and hurt somebody because...
So like drill music.
Right.
So if I'm angry, I shouldn't listen to no drill music or none of that stuff like that.
I wouldn't recommend it, right?
Okay.
Because, yes, you may think that it feels good, but what I think is pumping through your body is cortisol, which is stress, and that makes you want to go ahead and do something.
And I feel like universally people know there's some truth to it, because in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, like the governor or something like that, they try to ban that type of music because there's so much violence going on.
Yes.
Because basically, like, you listening to it, now you want to do it.
Exactly. It's programming.
Right.
And it's a subtle programming. What I mean by subtle is that we may not have to actually be aware of it, but because it's going on in the background, that programming is still going into your brain cells.
Or, prime example, like when we were younger, like growing up in Miami, when we were younger, and like going to like clubs or teen clubs, when they start playing, what's that song, man?
They can hustle.
What's that? No, not that.
Everybody was vibing to that.
Not that. It's the song.
Knuck If You Up?
Not Knuck If You Up. It's the song. What's the song?
Oh, no, we just made some bangers that we
No, when you see them hop in the club and everybody go to here and they kiss, so they go to.
I thought that was Knuck If You Up.
No, not Knuck If You Up. It's Miami.
Oh, you talking about that Trick Daddy song?
Trick Daddy, yeah.
Can't mess with me and my dogs.
I can't.
I know what you're talking about.
It's
from
the
the Book of Thugs.
But that's why listen, back in the days, when the DJ play a certain song,
it's a That's another one.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
It's gonna be about 3-4 fights.
Right?
Like, once the DJ start playing a certain song, you gotta go, because, like, okay, they about to start shooting, they about to start fighting, girls gonna fight, dudes. Like, it just, that's just what it is. So that is something.
And what you're speaking about now, mind you, this is us years ago in high school, right? Yeah. This is that same resonance that I'm talking about, that we're not aware of, like, oh, this is a frequency that's moving us, but we're thinking, oh, this is my song, but in reality, feel good, but it doesn't feel good. It's a programming that we're not aware of that is making us do something that we may have to apologize for later, or say, dang, that wasn't really what I intended to do.
Yeah, or just being mindful, period, like, of what you listen to. Because if you want to think about it that way, then I feel like you also got to think about it, like, just manipulating your mind a little bit. Because it's like, let's just say you're going through a breakup. When women love to listen to the breakup songs, you just make it work. Like,
yes. You know what?
What else? Because listening to those songs just makes you even sadder. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's just like manipulating your mind, because once you emotionally or mentally in a certain space, then you listening to something that it's either going to heighten it or lower the vibration.
Yes,
so
exactly. And that's
it's like, if I'm sad, I don't want to hear that.
Exactly, right? I don't want to hear certain things, or like, you know, when you're cleaning, or mom's cleaning up at home and she's like, oh, I want to put that song on, and it's a CD that she pushes play to, and she just literally goes. Those are tradition things to us, but we're not realizing we're missing the education and the knowledge of what that's doing to us. And so for me, you know, being the hippie or the black sheep, I love this. You know, it's different, but it's something that's I'm proud of it, because I get to introduce, hey, you know what, I resonate with that because I was that. And so being a part of the transition and understanding, I totally get it.
Now let me ask you a question. And again, this is an educational episode, right? Because a lot of times I want to say that we can be ignorant to certain things if that's not what we're into.
Right.
So my next question for you would be, what is your religious practice? So somebody who's a black hippie or black sheep, what would you consider your religion?
And so for me, as far as religion, I don't really account to a religion because I feel like this is another one of those topics, but religion in itself is something that I think that we were programmed to understand and kind of connect to, but religion is kind of just another group of people or a group of things that organization that you're using to get yourself back to God, back to your divine self. And so for me, I don't practice a specific religion. My religion is the universe. It is life. It is learning of the different practices and cultures of people. And because as a black person, I didn't really grow up in a religious household. My grandmother and my mother were known to Christianity, but that was because her great-grandmother and before that, the generation of Christianity, if we really know, it came from slavery. So because this white man had this book and this was the only thing that they can use to connect and kind of feel something outside themselves, this religion carried on and carried on and carried on. But there are different practices. So for me specific, I don't have a religion. But I do practice the Yoruba, which is the West Nigeria practice of the Ifa. And so for me, I kind of like practice a different of all the ancient practices. And absolutely.
That is a big thing right now. Like people are like, oh, the universe or God or the... So that
and they're trying to decipher, like, okay, am I stepping away?
Right, especially in black community, because we're so rooted in, like, God and Christianity.
Yes.
And also, I just want to also say, like, of course, even though we believe in different things, like, I'm just big on respecting what anybody has.
Exactly.
You know, I just feel like for me, as long as you believe in some type of higher power or something, of course, we all have, you know, our prerogative to believe in what we want to. And this is also just a teachable moment, just to allow people from the urban community to see people who believe in different things, and also just respect what people have going on, you know, like, and what they believe in, and not just be so judgmental about, you know, oh, why, you know, this and that. But back to the question, as far as the conflict in your family dynamic.
Yes, so absolutely it started the conflict because of exactly what you're explaining. We are not educated on the different paths and ways of life outside of Christianity because it is really based, you know, from our great-great-grandparents. And so for me, I think one of the first things, because I said my family wasn't really rooted in Christianity, but there's Bibles in the house. My grandmother does her prayer, you know, and I do see my mom, you know, every now and again she pulls out her book and she does her work, but we didn't religiously go to church every Sunday. My cousin and I, we did participate in a church growing up, the Grace Baptist Church, and so every Wednesday and Sunday we would do Bible study, and so that part I did know, and so when I did kind of transition into it, I remember, you know, thinking about, oh my God, you know, for me personally, am I going against God?
Right.
This is one of the main things, like, okay, am I going against God? But to understand, the further I got, that the universe is God itself. The whole creation of divinity is what we refer to as God. Right. It's just that in Christianity, with a lack of education, we're not even in Christianity, you know, they don't teach us, you know, Jesus is God's son, but some people I do hear, they're kind of conform. They're not sure if Jesus is God or if God is Jesus, and is Jesus God, when, you know, so all of those different things are the different confusions. And so for me,
so you felt like you was confused at one point?
I definitely was confused. And I think that many of us black people, we're confused. We're just not brave enough to actually say it. Because I do know, from my cousin, for instance, when I first started, he was like, okay, are you going against God? And I told him, no, this is God. Because like you explained, all the different paths and all the different cultures, no matter where you are, God is in all of it. And so it's about finding that universal divineness, right? The Most High. And when you connect to that, no matter what you're practicing, no matter which pathway you're going, you still have that ultimate connection.
Right. And I was just want to say one more thing as far as like, and even so, like when, Christians have that debate with people who do not believe in Christianity, I just feel like one of my biggest things is that, because I consider myself Christian, like, if God is love and you are a Christian, so you should be of love. So I just feel like respect people for what they believe in. Like, I don't look at you any different. I mean, it's interesting to learn about what you're into, but I don't look at you any different, because I feel like if I am loved, then who am I to
disregard another type of love?
Right, you may teach me something even though I'm Christian, so that therefore when I'm having a conversation or an encounter with someone who looks like you, now I can be like, oh, I had Shae on my shoulder.
Yes.
So now you're teaching me something, so therefore I'm informed. Just because I'm not into it, that doesn't mean I can't be informed and still speak about it in a certain setting.
Exactly, and that is so much love. Thank you for receiving me. Absolutely, and because that is the ultimate goal. Everyone's not going to have the same way of life, the same practice, but it doesn't mean that you have to look or point your finger at that person and say, "Oh no, this is not." If truly
if you are of God, then
we all are regarded as God's image.
Right.
So there is no condemnation. You should see me as I see you, and I see you as I see myself, and that is the ultimate love of God, right? And so for me, it was just really sticking to that. I did have people kind of like stop talking to me.
I'm sure.
I lost friends.
I'm sure.
I had people, question like, hey, they wanted to come here and be with me every day and kind of like to see what was going on, But something inside of them knew, like, okay, that is Shae. Shae has always been love. Shae has always been, this good person. So what is she doing? And I think with that, as long as you're true to yourself, for me, and walking this path, when you know who you are, and even like not knowing who you are, because there's still parts of me that I am learning, and I'm still.
So what I would say, it's more so like a lifestyle, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's a lifestyle, and all your different practices, whether it be Christianity, Buddhism, or anything. It's all about enhancing your lifestyle in order to get to that divine level that you're trying to reach, which all of us are trying to do. And I commend you on your journey.
So much. Thank you.
I know it hasn't been as easy, but keep going.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm looking to just spread myself and kind of not just get the sound out, but just finding a way to connect with the Black people again, right? Because I feel like we all have that inside of us. Right.
Kids,
we want to do it. We all have this magical gold energy resonating inside.
I was going to ask you that. So do you feel like people are born healers, and not just necessarily on a? Because for me, like I just said before, like you have people from different religions, right? That you still can be a healer.
Yes.
Like they say in Christianity, they don't call it a healer. They call it you are anointed, right?
Yes.
So, people just use different lingo for different things. And when I say healer, I mean just on a different level, right? Because I know me personally, like I feel like people be calling me crazy. But I feel like God just blessed me with like discernment and like this healing type of energy where sometimes I can be around like randomly out and I will have kids come up to me, or people just come up to me and start telling me their business. Like, or they just start telling me their life. Like, I can be anywhere, any state, like, and people, and I just be like, sometimes I just chuckle because I like it. It's funny because I wouldn't engage in a conversation with anybody, but I just be like,
and that's
so
your life.
Weird. Or where if someone comes around me and they're like sad, I can feel it. I don't know how to explain it, but I can feel like when somebody's sad. I can feel when somebody's mad. I can feel when somebody don't really like me, or I can feel when somebody has bad intentions.
Yes.
I can feel it. So sometimes
your intuition is
my intuition is crazy, and I be feeling like, do I have magical powers? And people, when people are not in tune with themselves, when people are not in tune with themselves, they will think that it's crazy. Me saying that it's crazy.
Absolutely.
But I know what I feel, right?
Yes.
Or even sometimes it could be a burden, like in relationships, it can be a burden in friendships, because I can sense your energy before you even say something, so I will cut you off like before you even get there.
Yes.
They're like, oh, and it's like, because I don't know how I know, but I can feel when somebody is disgenuine,
yes,
or negatively or positively, or happy, like, and that bounce off of me, sadness, like, I can feel it, so I be like, was I born, like, born with, like, a superpower?
And so I think for me,
but also, sorry.
You're good. Go ahead. Because let me know how you resonate.
But listen, but I don't feel like me saying that does not make me feel like, oh, I don't believe in Christianity. You know what I'm saying? I still feel that way, but in a Christian way. I don't know how to explain that.
This is exactly why I say that coming to know yourself is different from actual religion. Religion is
like, Robert, why you was laughing?
Hey,
That was too funny. Okay.
You got it.
He over there, you feel it, right? He's like, hey, hold on. No. But like I was saying, as far as your religion, right? You can be in a religion, right? But you can still have these superpowers. That's because this is you, your spirit body, right? And so inside of our body, right, we have what we call a spiritual being. This body is just a vehicle. It is used while we navigate here on earth, right? And so your spiritual self is what is illuminating, and that's what the kids and the dogs and the animals are attaching to, because the spirit does have a resonance, it does have a frequency, it does have a vibration, right? And so because you are a person at good heart, you carry yourself well, and you know God, your spirit is light, and you are a light being. And what I mean by that is not just being like, light as in a color, but what I mean light is in weight. You're not heavy.
Yeah.
Your heart is light, right? And so with that, it comes a certain resonance. And kids, animals, they are one of the, I would say, purest things or closest things connected to divinity, because
they're innocent.
They're innocent, right? Yeah. They're not really contaminated with earth, right?
Exactly.
And so they don't have that many things that are kind of into them, unless what is being programmed,
right?
And they're still being programmed. And so while they're still young, while they still have that most purest, highest, potent resonance, they see us as beings, and they're like, okay, I know you poke, right? And sometimes you can see a kid, they would just come up to you and smile. And it's like the most,
right. They whisper.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so it probably happens to you as well, right?
Don't it judge you?
And it's not just because he's very tall, right? It's not just because like, oh my God, this is a tree, right? You have a very beautiful spirit.
Thank you.
Right? Yes. You may look very intimidating, but you have a beautiful spirit. And so these kids, the animals, they resonated. And they don't have to speak the language. This is a vibration, this is a frequency. And so they're brave. They're not so contaminated with earth where they're afraid to speak.
Or be reserved.
Or like, let me not say this. They're going to do exactly what they want. And so that's why you'll get a random kid come up and they're just like, smile. You're like, okay. Your spirit smiles right back, right? And it's sometimes it's a confirmation inside you that you yourself are kind of like not wanting to like, okay, I don't know, but really it's making you feel good.
Yeah.
You're seen and you're heard, because that's God coming through another being, tapping and say hello to you.
Absolutely.
And so this is why I say it's so important that we get in tune with the frequencies and the resonance that are here, so that we can kind of connect and be just better and light beings. Because it's really good for us. So.
I agree. But yeah, that is so weird. That's so weird. When I say I get that a lot, I get that a lot.
And we call that, it's kind of what I call an empath. Because you empathize.
So let me tell you something. And this is what you said, like sometimes. So I've looked into that. I'm like, I'm like, okay, am I an empath? Like, that's so fucking crazy.
Yes. And you don't have to be attached to a religion to be an
that's what I'm saying. Because I'm like, I don't feel like, okay, but I feel like I know what I feel. That is crazy, especially like I'm talking about. Sometimes it can be super negative. I'm like, I would just stop. They're like, you didn't do nothing to me particularly. I just don't. It's something about your color that I just cannot.
And what's crazy sometimes is you can recognize it before the person.
And then they'll be me mad.
And they're like, "Oh, excuse you," but you can't even formulate the words because there are no words. This is a frequency.
That is it. I promise you. Like, I can't explain it. You didn't particularly do anything to me, but it's something about your energy that I just can't. I just can't. It just doesn't feel right for me.
Yes.
Like, and it's nothing personal. And it's like they're like, "Oh, she."
Yes.
I can feel people's energy. I'm telling you.
That's an impact, right? And so, and then too, as a hippie and as a black sheep, I do carry the sage or I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with sage or Palo Santo.
Sage, I heard people talk about that. Like
so sage is a cleansing leaf, and the Palo Santo is the wood. Mm-hmm. And so you use this to kind of clear out those energies, negative energies, or unwanted, or energies that just may not suit you. And so you being an empath, right? Sage or Palo Santo could be something that you may want to invest in.
See, that would be something I would never do because then I feel like I'm going too far left. So
what is too far left?
Too far left is just like.
So would that be considered like witchcraft? Because some
right.
Some people consider like witchcraft once you start burning the wood and the little smoke and sitting in circles.
Right, like I feel like I'm going too far to
so for you guys, I've always heard that or this is voodoo or this, but can you guys tell me what makes you consider that an element of earth, such as wood, such as leaf, how is that considered witchcraft? Like who attached?
But you know that that's the first thing people go
right.
But who is they? That's what you gotta get.
This is what I'm getting at, right? Who are we listening to?
Right.
Who is telling us, and why are we allowing for this to go into our heads and be something that make it real, right? Mm-hmm. So here I am, right, with the re-education and the unlearning to relearn that. Listen, these are Earth's elements. Mm-hmm. This has nothing to do with witchcraft. This has nothing to do with voodoo. This has everything to do with you and your spirit and your cleansing. And so
that's where I be like, ooh, because it's just like, especially for me, like I'm half Haitian, right? Mm-hmm. So I had this experience before, So that culture does.
You have your bloodline, right? Because of your culture and your ethnicity,
right?
It already comes with a very potent religion or culture or way of life, and that's through voodoo and the different spirits. So yourself. I would say it doesn't, because people are like, oh, you're Haitian, you're voodoo. Mm-hmm.
But there is, like you said, who is they? There is a misconception that people think that because you are Haitian, that you are automatically, into these type of things. And for me, I've had an experience in my life where I dated this guy, right? Mm-hmm. And we were together. We was toxic at some points, but great relationship, but really toxic at some points. Mm-hmm. And the guy was like really... How can I say this? The guy was really... I just have this aura about myself.
Yes.
That makes people never want to leave me.
Obviously, your intuition is your spaghetti, right?
No spaghetti.
I have this aura about myself that just once
it's attached, right?
Once you come to God, it's like,
hey, that's right.
That's right. So, and his family...
Speak your truth.
Listen, and his family started accusing me of doing like
voodoo
on like him. Oh, you had to do something to him because why? And that wasn't the case, and I'm just like I'm not into that. But so I just thought it was kind of like offensive for his family to
kind of condemn you and
condemn me and say that, and it's like, why isn't it like, oh my gosh, you must be a really good person if you don't want to leave this person? But no, because of my nationality. You automatically say, "Oh, you must have done this because why?"
It's very sad. It's very unfortunate.
So for me, I think that too made me be like, well, I never even want to touch anything that has because I don't want it to be associated.
There was a trauma that was caused from you not even participating.
Right.
People like an injury, so it makes you like, no, I don't want to do that because I already had a bad experience from this. Right?
Yes.
Got it. And it's very unfortunate in our communities. I think it's in the schools, it's in everywhere that we do that. People kind of have these pre-recorded attachments as to what things are, and what I am trying to do is kind of find back to again who are the they, and kind of again getting someone back to understanding what is in your mind and what is it that you're believing. So this all goes back to self-awareness and self-care, because we have to unlearn these things because there's so many things that we have in our heads, right? So, Rob was kind of laughing, saying the spaghetti. I know you guys say that.
Look, right? So he's typically speaking back out. But so
what dudes will think they're like that. Hey.
Yeah, but how many times, right? And what is it going to take for us to actually remove that? Because people like because look, people, it's laughing to you, but what about people like me who are truly into it, right? Do you think that it comes off offensive to say spaghetti and other laughing when we truly know that? I'm not saying that you're offended me, not me, but there are levels. And for someone that is wanting to go into it, you can really back them out. They're like, you know what? I'm not doing that. And so we have to kind of like stem away from the fears and making jokes kind of about the things that we really don't really know what it's about. Because in the spiritual community, or as a person that is spiritual, the spaghetti thing is not nowhere near or even in our vicinity of things that is talked about, because that kind of is a myth, right? That was created maybe from one or two people
Yes.
that has done something, and now it has become the overall, I don't want any of
right.
your spaghetti, you know, when really it's like, you're missing out on some really good ass spaghetti. I'm just saying.
Hold on real quick. Hold on real quick. I got it. Hold on. The only reason why I was saying that, and I promise you, I'm definitely joking about it. All right, now, because, you know, Gorilla got a song out, and she told me, I got him hooked on spaghetti. She said it in the song.
But see, I didn't even know that.
So that was the joke. That was the joke. It's about girls' love.
And I also want to say, just to piggyback off of Robert, too, what about the people who do use whatever they're into negatively?
Yes.
Because there are, and here's another thing, just to piggyback off of my situation, where it's like, what I find is funny is that, like, okay, I'm Haitian descent, right? But you got a lot of African Americans who are more into this witchcraft things more than people like me.
Who are Haitian, yes.
And they do that type of stuff. So it just makes it bad for it. But then again, I guess it's like, it's good and bad people in anything.
Yes.
So it just like Christianity too. Like, it's good Christian, bad, you know,
exactly.
So it just...
Yeah, and so you have to kind of, again, what my idea and what I'm pushing is self-love, self-awareness, and just being mindful, right? And allowing yourself to, if you don't know about something, allow for yourself to relearn it, or at least get a new perspective on it, because it could literally be life-changing for you, whether you know it or not. You know, it may not be right then in that moment, but later on in life, you may literally need these tools or need these things to kind of navigate yourself. Because here I am coming from a family where it's a big, huge family South, but right now, currently, you know, I can say that I feel like I am recreating my family, but, you know, in a way by myself, because there's no one in that huge family that has resonance based on anything that I'm doing right now.
So what I could say to that is, all right, you have your immediate family, and you have a family that you create outside of that. We all have that. Like, I got my blood brothers and stuff like that, and mother. But I also have a bigger family outside of that that's that I resonate with, like, as you said. And like, my family is different because obviously, you know, you're a part of my family. You know, we work together and everything. So and yeah, like, just learning about different cultures and everything else, it helps you to be able to accept these different things. Because it's a journey. At the end of the day, you want to be enlightened, so that means you need to learn about these different religions and everything else, and how do they tie in together, and how can you use that to get to the enlightened point and everything else. So definitely, I believe that the journey is real for everyone, and it's different for everyone.
Absolutely.
And don't be afraid to go on a particular journey and to learn about these different things. And stuff like that, and see how it resonates with you, as you said.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, for me growing up, I used to do the meditations and stuff like that. I do the yogas and everything else. So yeah, I always believe that, like, it is a spiritual warfare out there.
Yes.
And we have to be able to recognize it, and not only recognize it, talk about it too, because that's another thing, we don't talk about it a lot.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's just me. I believe that.
And I think that's what we're doing right here today is breaking those grounds of all the things that you talked about. We're talking about it. We're allowing ourselves to speak. And, you know, being us all, we're all Black people, but we have different raisings. We come from different places and we have different upbringings. But here we are being able to, you know, maturely speak about and kind of give each other flowers and honor on just being human and just being, you know. And so I love it. I love that we're continuing to build and kind of create this resonance so that other people can kind of learn and pick up, and, you know, maybe something that I said or something that you said, they'll be able to reach out now and kind of question and be like, okay, maybe that wasn't that.
Right, with the bowl. Can the bowl help in intimacy?
And what do you mean, like, as far as using it while being intimate?
Yes, using it while being intimate. Is that a thing?
So, I mean, with music and sound, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Right? You can create any form of circumstance and resonance that you want. But in regards to intimacy, when working with the bowls and intimacy, it is something that can happen. You can use this to kind of, I'm not sure if you've heard of tantric practices. These tools that we can use helps to create that resonance and frequency in the room so that the person can now be more in tune with whatever resonance or intention that they want to have this intimacy with another person. So not just the sound bowls, but there are many different musical tools that you can use. I didn't bring all of them, but there's like the tuning forks where you can actually place them onto, you know, your body parts, right? And so you and your partner can kind of use these different things to resonate. And it's not just for intimacy. What this is doing is allowing for you and your person to get more resonant with a divine frequency. So that way,
on the same wavelength, pretty much.
Well,
frequency.
Same wavelength, but it's same wavelength of the divine, of God, right?
Okay.
Of the most highest frequency. So that way, when you are pleasing each other, it is of the most high. So you, right, vibrating at a high frequency, and then me vibrating at a high frequency. When we touch and clash, it's like almost like electric.
Right.
And so your idea of what you're wanting to do is kind of create a high electricity between you and your person so that when you do touch, it is a spark. Pow! And it's kind of like more than just the average. And so, yeah, there is a possibility.
Without being intimate.
Yes.
With intimacy or without it?
Well, this is without intercourse.
No,
but this is a form of intimacy. Yes.
So, but with intercourse, is there a way to integrate that where it's like,
with intercourse, I would say it would be pre. So
it
would be prior. Right. So you know how we do foreplay. This is a spiritual foreplay. This is spiritually allowing for yourself to resonate and get yourself to a certain frequency, and that person's doing the same thing, and you're doing it in the same room, so that when you do actually touch, there is that spark of energy.
Okay. So
yeah, there is multiple ways, but in intercourse, it would be prior to.
Okay.
So yeah, it would be like a premeditated arousal, and then when you guys do have this certain touch, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the very moment. This can go for hours, and I think that makes it way more enjoyable because now you're in discovery mode with your partner. Okay, what does this do for him? Okay, what is this? You know, you may have touched their ear before, but after this, because you're resonating, you have this high frequency. When you touch that ear, it feels like something completely different, and you're like, wait a minute, but it's your golden hands, it's your chi, it's your energy that's pulsating, and so now when you're touching that person, it's more than just a feeling, it's a vibration. Okay. So yes.
Let me ask you a question. Are you into polygamy?
I am not, no. I have, back in my younger days, I know I look younger, but back in my younger days, I actually had someone offer it to me, and I was new into spirituality, but they told me that with my resonance, that it would be very, I guess, something for me to do, because I don't belong to just one person. That's kind of what they were saying, right?
I heard that in an episode off of Cheaters.
And I think what they mean, they meant by is the energy, not necessarily like my physical being, although that could be something. But you know, it's the resonance and the energy of what I am putting out, and I just feel like with one person. Can that one person contain all of what you are giving?
That's true, because sometimes I feel like that about myself. But another thing, I can see, because sometimes you can be overwhelming.
Yes.
So it's too much for one person. Not to say I would want to spread myself, but what I'm saying is I can see how like sometimes your energy can be too much for one person.
Yes.
I can see that too.
And I don't really think that it's too much. I think that it's just overbearing, right? In one setting, and that person just may not be in the certain layout to receive.
I was just gonna say that, or maybe just like you said, like when a person is not in tune with themselves yet, or haven't reached a certain, so you can seem or be overwhelming until they get to a certain like frequency.
Yes,
and then it's like okay, you know,
and now it's an exchange.
Yeah,
reciprocation versus you're the giver, they're the receiver.
Yeah,
you are exchanging this energy, and man, it's wild.
I can see how that. But one thing before we go to the next is, so what are your thoughts on polygamy though? Because you say you've never done it, but what are your thoughts on it?
So I think that, and what do you mean by it's like dating or marriage?
Either or.
So I think, and it's so strange because this is very new. It's like Go ahead.
And another reason I want to touch bases on this is because, again, a lot of people have the misconception that people who are into crystals and things automatically are into polygamy. So that's why I really want to touch bases.
Okay. So for me, I don't think it's something that I would see myself doing. I don't think that anything is wrong with it, and give my discretion. But I think as far as what's happening is the misconception of a man, right, having multiple women.
You're weaponizing it as a thing.
And it's becoming very egoic, right? It's going to his head, and he's not understanding or realizing that, hey, you need to be able to bear and take care of, and both. What do you mean multiple? Three, four, or five. One man being able to have multiple women. I think the misconception is becoming is that the man is seeing it as very ego and not knowing that he actually needs to be able to satisfy each one of those women. You know, if she wants sexual intercourse right now, and now she wants to go out on a walk, and now she wants you to go ahead and study, do you have the capacity? Do you have the capacity to be able to do that with all those women?
Right. And I could say from experience, like, it ain't easy to do that. It ain't
they
easy
do it though.
Yes.
I don't know how.
Hey man, look,
I feel like that's a full-time job.
It is
crazy. It is another full-time job on top of your job.
On top of your job.
And you're creating a new lifestyle that is not the norm. So you're doing multiple things at once. So you're always doing multiple things at once. Yeah. People, things, places, and so and then yourself. Right.
So let me ask you this. All right, with the polygamy, would sound healing or just sound practices, would that help in that? Because like if everyone get on the same page, kind of would that make it work a little better or no?
So I would say that it would help overall as far as in the present moment, but on a deeper scale of what's happening under the surface, no. That's work that they need to talk about. Okay. They need to bring about, each woman needs to be able to say what her problem is, and that guy needs to be able to listen and understand for each of those women that have that problem, and then he has to find a resolution and solution for each of those women to find a balance for both of them to come back, so that now both of them can come back to him to get him what he. For me, it's just
it's a lot. It's a lot,
right?
Just one.
Right? So
one is enough.
For me personally, I don't see it being a thing now, and that's dating. When it comes to marriage, I do see polygamy a bit different because I think that it's more about the roles and responsibilities versus the ego. I still don't know. I would say me personally, I'm not sure, but I understand it a bit better than versus dating, because in dating,
it's just really getting a real benefit.
What's the goal here? What are we doing? Yeah. Are you gonna leave into I don't know. Versus marriage, it's more of I think foundation, it's commitment and agreement, and these multiple wives are not being chosen by that man. It is the first wife who gets to choose the woman, because it is not for the man to be satisfied. It is for the woman to need help with these multiple children. So okay, I got dishes. I feel like that's the kind of it's a catch-22 because if you like use the same concept as far as people who are doing like threesomes, right? And the guy will like, okay, as the female, you can choose the person. That solves no problems, because even with the mindset of the woman being in charge, technically there still can be issues. Yeah, it does. But I think that's where in marriage it goes more for the woman versus the man, because but the men are looking for more of satisfaction, I think, in a sense, whereas the woman needs help with the roles of the household. And so this man that has these multiple women, he's barely there. He's working because he's taking care of all the finances. That's supposed to know. Right. And that's why I say more of the marriage, because I feel like there's more of a oral agreement or contract organization that is agreed upon and everyone is aware of, versus dating. It's like, I want to say it's like all over the place.
Me personally, it's a no. It's a hard no.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
What you think? You think?
I mean, look.
Of course, your man.
Right?
My take on it.
Truly, tell me,
All right, truly. If you could
your take.
handle it. All right. My take.
We know the answer. We know the answer.
I think you would desire it, but
truthfully, I wouldn't go for it. I wouldn't go for it.
Okay.
Truthfully, I wouldn't go for it. Like desire wise, yeah, I would like to try,
you just got options.
but as far as like I say, I wouldn't go for it. I would rather it be with one person, because like you say, to get to know that one particular person, it's a lot. To be able to understand that person, it's a lot, and also understand that person could be on a journey themselves too, and they're going to have a moment in time where they're going to change, and everything else, and you got to be able to adapt and adjust to that. Now you talking about bringing in 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. It's like whoa, it's a lot. And then if the head, if the mother, I guess it would be like the mother, right? The first, right? It's the first, it's the first mother ain't able to keep the other ones in line. It makes it even harder. So for me, I wouldn't waste my time with it. Me personally, I wouldn't waste my time with it. It look fun. It is fun at times, but man, when it's bad, it is bad.
Right. Okay.
So that's my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. So again, me personally, no. Do I understand the organization of the idea? Yes, of course, but just not something for me. I want to overwhelm, and drown my person, and so they can swim and then drown them again.
Yeah.
That to me is, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
So. And hard for no for you?
Hard no. Hard no. No.
Not even no.
Hard no. But so if I close out that topic with, I just feel like overall, let's just change the dynamic a little bit. I just feel like in order to, of course, yes, the benefit and the help and another income, I just feel like it just causes too much chaos. And I just feel like for a couple partnership to really have a strong dynamic. And not even talking about polygamy, just like a man that's just like dating multiple people, like which trying to have, you can't accomplish anything. You know what I'm saying? Because it dives into the money. There is no longevity, accomplishment, and success because a man who has multiple women or who are entertaining multiple women and trying to build something, you just can't do it because your money is being divided. You're spreading it out too thin. Because even when you're just doing whatever you're doing, constructive things, right?
Yes.
You need time for yourself. You need quiet time for yourself. Then you need time for your partner. Then you need to make sure that you're dividing and appropriately distributing your money, your time, your whatever, your efforts in building that. So that's why most of the time, you don't really see many successful men be successful because they're divvying up their time and money because guess what? She wants something. Yes. She wants time. So what time are you using to build within yourself? Yes. What time are you using to build within your business or you know what I'm saying? It's just, that's why most successful men have one. And then when they do cheat, it's way down after they already established because it's so hard to do that in the building phase.
And
you know what I mean?
I do want to add.
And one more thing. It's even more expensive because when you do it down the line, she find out now she won't have or she won't take everything. Yes. So it's just like a losing game. So it's just like most men that's really successful be chilling.
Yes.
It's boring.
Yes.
But they chilling because I don't got time to be spending money on nobody. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're dealing with a woman who knows you have so much, she wants something. She need hush money. She wants something because guess what? I'm already on the side. So you're not gonna have me on the side for free. Exactly. So what's going on? So now that guess what? It's taken from you. You may be enjoying the moment, but it's taken from you. So to truly be successful and thrive and accomplish whatever your life's mission is, I just feel like people do it, but you always see how they end up. Yes. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like you playing yourself, so for me, my life's journey is important to me. What I'm leaving my children and what I'm building is important to me. So for me, I just feel like it's wasted. Wasted time. Yeah. And then polygamy. Hard no.
And further to end off with the polygamy thing, because I don't want to just throw it completely to the left. I think what happened here when we're starting to see it more, because I was deployed in the military, and so I actually was able to see successful polygamy marriages, and that was different country, different culture of people, different mindset of these men. And so I think here in America, when it's coming, and because through spirituality and things are starting to spread, people are grasping and wanting to take from these different cultures and countries without having the full access and the knowledge and education and definitely the systems that they use to get to where they are, to have these multiple women. And so that's why I think that if it is successful, I think that it's something outside of the country.
And the resources are different, the environments are different, the conditions are different, so it benefits them more.
Yes. And so I think like when you're looking into polygamy, if that's not something that came from inside of you, see what you really want before, trying to see what it looks like and then taking and saying that you want that. Because that may not be exactly what you want down the line.
So I wanted to ask you another thing too. As far as your dating life, we're going to dive into your personal space a little bit. So as far as your dating life, have you ever liked someone or were interested into someone romantically and they didn't want to date you or they turned you down because of your beliefs?
So I've been doing this, I would say 5 to 7 years all together where I'm just like committed versus like knowing about it, stepping in and out.
So at this point you only date specifically if you visually could see?
This point, yeah, I have my filter is like out there like, oh yeah, I'm vegan. Do you know what meditation and do you know what breathing is? And okay, breathe. Yeah, do you know how to breathe? So those are kind of like
prerequisites.
The prerequisites that I have.
Okay.
And there's a few that I visually am looking for because I'm a CMOS specialist, and so.
Are you into garden boys? Like that
yes.
whole,
So I have 31 house plants in my home. Maybe more, right? And they're real plants. And I'm not like, oh, the plant lady.
I was gonna say the plant lady.
I would consider myself the plant lady, but the plants are my teachers. Because I live alone. I don't have any children or anything like that. The different plants and the different species of these plants teach me many different things throughout my life. For one, just like being responsible and making sure that I can water them, right? And then from the watering, it comes, oh, this one is breeding or flowering a different way. Oh, this one has this pesticide, and it's all organic, so I don't use anything that kills or harms the plants, no chemicals. And so when I first did it, I was like, oh, I want all the plants. So I had maybe 7. And I was living in Arizona at the time. And so from there, I was just like, oh, okay, this is cute. But then when they start to like form their own personality, and now this one needs more water, this one needs 3-day watering schedule, this one needs water every day, I was like, okay, wait a minute. I started feeling like the polygamy, right? Like, oh, I've taken on 7 different things and I can't. Okay, wait a minute. So what it did was slow me down and taught me awareness to actually pay attention. Not to just say, oh, I have all these plants, but no, like, what is the care for each plant? And so it made me slow myself down, take some time to not just actually look at them as a trophy, but to get to know them. Because if I didn't get to know them, I was going to kill way more than I have transitioned.
So when you're dating, you feel like the person that you date have to be into plants, and obviously you want some similarities.
I want some resonation. They don't necessarily have to be into plants because I'm into plants. I think that for me is, are they going to be disturbed by my plants? Are they going to be, disturbed by the things that I do?
Do they have to practice the same things you do as far as like?
I would say they need to know a little bit about spirituality, EPI, which is the Orisha, and knowing, do they necessarily need to know what I know? No. But do they have to be willing? Yes. So
I had a question for you. I want to know, are you into tarot?
Yes. So I don't necessarily do tarot for people. I do it for myself. Yeah. I have 3 different decks of tarot cards that I would call them oracle, because I think tarot is a specific stack of cards where like. So what is it called when people do the card reading? That's not tarot. I think it's just readings. Okay. So you do readings, but for yourself? Yeah, and like maybe for my personal friends. Okay. But it's not something that I do to the public. And I think that people are seeking something much deeper than that very moment of what's happening, which is why I kind of pick and choose, because let's say if I do a reading with you, and it's something that's much deeper than what I'm saying, then I'm taken away from what I'm supposed to be giving you because, we're doing a 20-minute reading, and it's $15 for this, and putting a price tag on something that's very sacred and spiritual. So do you think it's scammy? It's just may not be in the best favor for you in the moment. And that person later on
Don't
down the
look
line,
like that. Don't look like that.
If you take your last little bit of money,
yeah,
to the people,
and
try
guess
to ask
what?
some people, should you stay with that man or not? Stop doing
Yes,
that.
please stop. It's for love, for relationships, and for trying to. It is not. We do not. And I'm speaking on behalf of the people that are serious about the spirituality. Yes. We do not take your money because we are not the ones to determine, and there's not a tool that I can use to get this person to do it. Because what's going to happen is there's always a catch. If I'm doing something, something's got to be taken. Mm-hmm. And when you're dealing with that type of energy, that depth of love of another human being making a choice and desire of who they want to be with longevity, that is very, very sticky. And we do not put our hands in that because you're now deciding from another person, which means you're now becoming
you're trying to play God.
You're trying to take that energy, right? Yeah. And so what comes from that? Something else. Something has to. So when they take, something has to be taken. Absolutely. And when you give, something has to be taken. So be very mindful of that. And the best way to do it, if you're seeking love and if you're really wanting a certain person, the best way and the most prominent way, I think, is to find that love within yourself.
Yes. And like I said before, like, people always say, oh, and not even just Haitian culture, mm-hmm. Jamaican culture, African culture, mm-hmm. but there are so many African Americans who are not mixed with any of those cultures who do that type of thing, or like, especially for relationships.
Yes.
And it's just like, and like you said also, like, it's big in my culture. We always say, like, people who are into that, they don't understand, like, I'm not going to say it's not true and it don't work. Mm-hmm. Yes, right?
Absolutely.
If that's what you're into, but you got to always understand that what you take also, like you said, there is a back end. So you plan with that type of, lifestyle and things and practices. And I'm not knocking anyone who does, but there is something to be paid. When you do things like trying to play God, trying to control the situation. A lot of women, they do it for men and whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Or you might say, oh, I don't want him to leave me. I'm going to do this. Now that he may not be good for you and he's stuck with you, and now you can't leave and you're miserable.
And you're blocking the blessings of something great that you can receive because you're wanting to stay stagnant with this person.
Absolutely.
And so anything that is forced and control, try to refrain from that because we live in a world of freedom where we are able to kind of move at our own pace and be human beings. So why attach yourself to something that doesn't want you?
Yeah. And then from a wellness aspect, it's just like when you pour into yourself, and this is for men and women, right? Mm-hmm. When you pour into yourself and you love yourself and you invest in yourself and you do all this, you're naturally going to attract somebody that also feels the same way. Like, you don't have to force it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's just a wellness tip.
Yes.
Just to add to that, what I can say, people see it. Mm-hmm. People see it. Like when you carry yourself a certain way, people are drawn to you. To your aura, I would say. They are drawn to your aura. And that's the people who you should probably pay attention to more because like they're coming to you like, all right, hey, I like your energy, and stuff like that. I like what you're talking about. And then so they're interested and they want to get to know you. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you should focus on the people who want to actually get to know you, genuinely want to get to know you. That asking those questions that's how you doing today and really means how you doing.
Yes. And that is simple but very profound. For someone to ask how are you, versus what you have or things. Please be mindful of the people that are wanting you or wanting to take from you. Because it's very...
And especially, like we said, like when you are a healer, or when you're a giver, or when you're an empath, a lot of the time you really attract people that just take. They will suck you dry.
Yes.
And they have no consideration of like, because they just know you to be like a river. Like, okay, because I know that you flow like your energy. Yes. And unknowingly, and I'm not going to say people do it on purpose. I always tell people that, like, when I used to do my counseling sessions, like, sometimes when you're looking at things or situations or you're going through things and you feel like somebody's treating me poorly, somebody's treating me bad, or somebody gave me bad advice. Yeah. You have to also look at it from a point of view. It's like sometimes people can only give you what they know. So they can do something negatively unknowingly. So it's not always an intentional thing. You understand? So just like when people pull on your energy or like sucking you dry or because you're an empath, because you're this type of person, sometimes people do it unknowingly. Yeah. It's not necessarily like you, I'm going to... No, it's
like they're not like I'm gonna target you and suck you dry.
It's just unknowingly people can do that. So you yourself have to have those boundaries, discernment, self-love, and knowing to say, all
Yeah,
right.
enough is enough.
Right, because
Yes.
if not, you'll be depleted.
Yep, absolutely. And to speak on the people that are not knowing, because it's as the empath, as the person who has the discernment, it is very also important to keep your heart good, because you don't necessarily want to start to now belittle or talk bad about people because you feel like they're taking your energy,
Yes.
and it's them not knowing. And
Yes,
so
that is
another
true.
part of that is to make sure you have grace.
Yeah.
Because grace can
Grace and
be
mercy.
carried far longer than the knowledge and the
I
ego
think
that
I
you
learned
have in
that later
moment.
on, right?
Mm.
Because like I said, I feel like not just I'm like, I feel like I'm special. Something is different about me. But it took me a long time to accept that that's the gift that God gave me, and embrace it, and me embracing it and doing what I'm supposed to do it is how I stay blessed, right?
Yes.
Because at one point I started to feel like, you know what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The head, right?
Yeah,
It's like
I'm
too I'm good. I'm
like
it.
and not even that too. It's just from an aspect of like I said, even if I'm around somebody and I can feel it negatively, or I know like God will say, you're supposed to bless this person.
Yes.
That's why I always tell people, like you said, have a pure heart, because my relationship with God is more important than whatever else is going on. So if I feel like, you know what, God want me to do this thing, or whatever the case may be, like I'll use a prime example. Like I feel like I said earlier today, I'm happy that I brought Robert on, right? And I'm happy that like for whatever reason it worked out this way, and he's a part of this. But what I understand is, and I hope that we can be friends as long as we're supposed to be. But I understand life, and I understand that it's life, and sometimes God only puts you in people's life for a certain period.
Yes.
Sometimes it's long, sometimes it could be a lifetime, but sometimes it's like not for you to take personal, because God be like, I ain't tell you to take personal, I told you to do something.
That's not for you.
Do whatever I told you to do, and whenever that is supposed to be done, it is okay to walk away with grace and be like, I did what I was supposed to do, and it's okay. But it took me a long time to get to this point, because I used to.
That is practice, ma'am.
I used to listen.
Ooh, you gotta practice it.
Ooh, but I'm there now. But it took me so long to get to this point where I realized when you're meeting people along in your life journey, and sometimes you can pour into people and you never see it back, or you can invest in them or people or situations, and you feel empty because you feel like, well, why I feel like he was able to come take and then I left with nothing, and you gained something but I didn't.
But you were the teacher in that moment, and
God said, stop making it about you. And that was the lesson that God taught me. Like, and I had to sit back. I'm like, oh.
And as an empath, majority of the things that you are navigating in life are not.
It's not about you. It's like, because I blessed you with this thing to bless other people in whatever way. And even if the blessing could be something so small, it's not always like a big grand thing. No. It could be just an exchange of words, or an encounter, or a experience, or a season. Yes. And then sometimes I'm like, well, why? I feel like I can't have that. Or why people can't just do that for me? But it's not about you, because the way that I get blessed is how God blessed me later. Like with other things, not like necessarily transactionally.
And
with
that person that you're blessing, they receive it, right? And they may not be able to verbally let you know, or but just by you giving them that blessing, this is the work that you do with God. Yeah. Because God is seeing this.
Yeah. And so it's not about
your subtle blessing is you get it right
But
back.
It took me so long to learn that, even like just years of just like going through certain situations, and I really had to sit back and was like, and I'm like, one day it just hit me, and I had to get out of that motive, because I started being, I don't want to say an angry person, but just like more defensive. And more like,
it's a good one.
Because you're just in it.
We walk around with the armor,
yeah. Because I'm like, okay, why? And then I had to realize that no, you can't be like that, because I can't play God. Yeah. Because sometimes God is telling me to do something, I'm like, I ain't gonna do that because I know that they finna do, or they finna use me. But if you're supposed to let them use you, because that's what God wanted you to do. Stop walking around trying to play God. No, because if it's on your chest and heart to do it, that's what you're supposed to do, regardless of how it plays out, because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's not my, you know what I'm saying? But it took me a long time to get there, because people,
and that is wisdom.
Ooh,
wisdom. So
listen, people like it took me years. So now I learned, like, okay, I gracefully do it, and I realize the reward I get is not from the person, not from the situation. It's like, now we're like, okay, that's why God be keeping me. That's why I can go through this and then still come back. Oh, that's why I can experience that. Cause it just be like
you're a warrior.
Yeah, but it's
like,
a self thing. It is really a self journey.
Yes.
So, ooh, Lord, ooh,
that's amazing.
But sometimes I be like, who told you I was your toughest soldier? Who told you?
Right.
I didn't volunteer for this job.
But this is the fun and the discovery that we have with ourselves and divinity. So it's amazing.
But that's one of those things where I'm gonna say it anyway. So at the end of the day, like when Scripture also talked about the fact that God knew you before you even was in the womb. He already separated you from the before you even made it to the womb. So understand that like He already put that inside you. All the stuff that we need is actually inside of as a Shae pointing out.
Like I mentioned, the predestined. That is literally the same scripture of that.
So with that being said, if you understand that you have to go on this life journey, that you were already separated from birth, and God already knew you. So like once you got into the womb, you may have forgotten all this other stuff like that about who He was and everything else. But as you could get older on your self journey, that's how you
inside.
You
start to reconnect with what's already inside of you.
You start to reconnect what's inside of you, and the more you practice it, the stronger it gets. And remember, it's a lifestyle.
Yes.
Most religion is nothing but a lifestyle. It's a guide to tell you how you should be living your life. He gave you a choice to make each and every day. You have to make a choice. At every moment, we have to make a choice. So, again, this is why it's big to learn about different cultures and everything else. You can learn about different practices and everything else, because at the end of the day, it's all about that getting to that enlightenment stage. Which I'm glad that you're recognizing the fact that you had to go on that particular journey, that you had to talk to these particular people.
It ain't nothing nice.
No.
And that's for somebody whoever, like when you feel like you're going through that journey of like just allowing God to like chastise you. I said, like because you don't realize what it is, but it is I don't want to say nasty because I don't want to even use that word. But it is a very like intricate thing,
raw
like,
and unfiltered.
Oh my God!
Raw and unfiltered. It's directly and raw and uncut. It's not all love and
light.
No,
it's not.
Right? Because some of the most in depth, some of the most strongest work and the profound work that we need is actually done in the dark, and it's the tough love that gets you through the darkness, not the light. And then through that darkness. And the reason why you become the light. You literally become the light in that. And so that is the true work, is not just to claim love and light and not to just put it on your chest, but you actually have to go inside into the darkness, back into your womb space, back into your internal and become that light for yourself. Exactly. And now you're walking light and you're resonating, and now you have the kids and the animals and everything flowing back to you because this light is sparked from the inside, so no one can necessarily blow it out. This is something that's lit from the inside.
You did the work. You did the inner work.
Yep.
I did the inner work, baby. And I'm still doing it.
Absolutely.
Well, in life, what's worth fighting for? You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand what's anything in life that's worth value is worth fighting for. If you ain't trying to fight for this and that, you ain't really have to put no real work in for it. How much value is it really? You know what I'm saying? So you have to always, I ain't gonna say always, but I would say majority of the time you literally have to go through something in order to get something.
Yes.
It's in life is transactional, whether it's spiritual, mentally, or physically. Life is transactional or emotionally. Like it's all transactional. And you just gotta understand that. And once you like I say, get a full understanding of that, or be grown in that way. It makes the journey a little more easier, and it helps you, like you say, recognize the different people and everything.
And it makes our decisions. Like I feel like now I can like really experience even negative things with so much grace. Yeah. Like what people won't even know or notice because I don't. Because when you understand,
you're not personalizing it.
Yeah, I don't personalize it. I don't take it as a personal thing. I understand that this is just okay. This is a phase. Or what am I supposed to learn? Like I always look at it from that perspective. I think that's what helped me like not allow things to like beat me down. So I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? Yeah. Okay, what you trying to tell me? Okay, like I use that as a navigating tool to like just become a better.
And that's how you keep on going, right?
Yeah.
Life is a trip. So we're on a journey and it's a roller coaster because And what we're talking about is the good and bad is kind of like what we call the ebb and flow of life. And so you have your high times and you have your low times, right? And so this roller coaster is not about it being straight, straight and narrow path. You have to go through your ups and your downs, but it's about holding on. And the vehicle, right, that we're riding this roller coaster in is our body, is ourself. And we have to make sure that our spirit inside is kept pure, kept good, and kept at a homeostasis so that we can travel and navigate this roller coaster.
Now, with that being said, do you believe in soul ties?
Yes. As far as soul tie, I would say yes. Because there are people that come into our lives, as you mentioned before, and they may not necessarily be for you personally, right? But they're in your life to literally show you something so that later on in your life, you can take what they've, shown you or experienced with you and now share it to another person.
I do believe that, like me, I'm the type of person, I do think that male and females can have a healthy platonic relationship. Some people do not believe that men and women could be friends. I do, right? And I also believe that, like you said, I don't think that, and even if, whatever, man, woman, whatever the case may be, even if, like, a lot of times when we interact with people, and especially in the Black community, we feel like every person that we meet is supposed to be
for us,
romantically.
Right? Exactly.
And it's like, that may be...
That's not the case, but that's what
and we ruin
the essence of what that relationship is supposed to become, right?
Right.
Whether it's work, damn, this person was supposed to help me get my credit
card,
but like I done messed up, you know what I'm saying? So
because and then once you connect romantically, oh Lord,
that's what takes over,
right?
And so I think that the wisdom and the knowledge is, for one, us putting this out and understanding that everyone that you may feel something for isn't necessarily for you to actually romantically have intimacy with them. You could hug a person, hang out with a person,
or even love a person,
and you can deeply be in love with a person, and that person not be romantically connected for you. It's just that in our lives. Go ahead.
So let me ask you this, because you said something. You just said love, right? All right. So you saying that with the soulmate or soul tie,
yes,
you could either love that person or be in love with that person. I understand that to be two different things.
It is two different things.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
And so for me, I think to love someone is you care about this person and you admire what they do and that they inspire you in somewhat ways and that you guys have a good compatibility and reciprocation. Now, to be in love with someone, I think that would be more tied to intimacy, right? More tied to kind of giving your vulnerability, your safety, and your darkest times when, I guess, on the surface of where the public cannot see this person that you are in love with, they're able to kind of come into that space and be in that with you.
There's something more romantic on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I think in love and being and
love
not falling in love, but growing in love and building in love and becoming in love and yes, all of that. We want to kind of stray away from falling in love.
Yeah.
We're not here to fall no more. Like no one's wanting to fall. I don't want you to fall for me, because if you fell for me, that means that I took you off of your feet, and that's not what I want to do. I want you to stand tall, and I want you to walk with me. And so we need to build.
To wrap up this episode, I want to ask you.
Yes.
If you can say anything to this camera, where's your camera?
I think it's this one.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but
thank you for being. Thank you for breathing. Thank you for not allowing yourself to give in to life's difficulties. From me to you, I am here on this platform to kind of let you know that I do see you, and there is another awareness that is out there to allow you to become more than what you are. Life is not over, and you always have the reliability and the ability to expand your awareness, to expand your consciousness, and just kind of unlearn things and relearn things that you kind of grew up in or in the community, and always reach out and be brave, because there's never a time where you're not allowed to learn something new. And just because that it came from your family doesn't necessarily mean that you have to hold on to it. You are an individual. You are free, and you are able to kind of move and be however you want to in life. So please don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to unlearn, and don't be afraid to relearn things that you want for the betterment for you.
All right. And this wraps up season 2, episode 2 of Rants, Wellness, and Melanin. You got anything else?
I mean, well, I don't know. This is my first episode, so man, I'm happy and I'm excited and I'm thankful.